All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to be looking at Sylvia Ola's article and how it really flips the script on what makes HR successful. You can find the full article linked in the description, by the way, and don't forget to follow and subscribe while you're at it.
Yeah, I think Ola really nails it in this piece. When she describes what's going wrong in so many HR departments, it's almost like, when you're in a relationship and you spend all your time trying to guess when the other person's going to leave.
Instead of actually trying to fix the problems that are making them want to leave,
Exactly. And Ola argues that's exactly what's happening in a lot of workplaces.
kind of like putting all your energy into damage control instead of actual solutions.
Right. And what's really interesting is this disconnect between what employees are actually unhappy about and what HR is focused on. While HR is busy rolling out these big complex initiatives, they're missing out on the basic things that matter most to employees.
And she really lays it all out there, too. She lists actual employee complaints, like candidates getting ghosted after interviews, unpaid overtime, unclear job descriptions, even some illegal HR practices.
It's a pretty eye-opening list for sure.
It's like they're building this shiny facade, but forgetting to lay a solid foundation.
Totally. All these well-meaning initiatives and programs end up being undermined because they skip the basic HR standards and
It's
processes.
like that analogy Oli uses, the restaurant trying to run without set recipes.
Without those consistent standards, it all just becomes chaos, right?
It's just HR managing chaos instead of creating a smooth and efficient employee experience.
Yeah, and all that inconsistency just breeds confusion, frustration, and ultimately a whole lot of dissatisfied employees.
Makes you wonder, do they even realize all the good they're trying to do is getting sabotaged by these overlooked fundamentals? It's like they're building a house and forgetting the plumbing and electrical.
Perfect analogy. And that's where a company like the Strengths Company comes in, right? They focus on helping organizations build that solid foundation by standardizing HR processes.
So instead of constantly reacting to emergencies, HR can actually be proactive and build a good supportive environment for employees.
Exactly. Which is precisely what Ola is advocating for. You implement clear standards and processes for every step of the employee journey. From recruiting to onboarding to performance reviews, you ensure consistency, fairness, and transparency across the board.
So it's all about bringing some order to the chaos, making sure every employee interaction is handled fairly and consistently.
And when employees feel like they're treated fairly and with respect, they're way more likely to be motivated and productive.
It all boils down to getting the basics right before diving into the more complex stuff, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. You can't build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. You need that solid base to support everything else.
Have you ever been in a job where you felt like HR was just missing the mark on some of those fundamental things, whether it was unclear expectations, inconsistent policies, lack of transparency? I mean, we've probably all experienced that kind of frustration at some point, right?
And it's crazy how these little things can really add up and impact employee morale and engagement. Ola calls it death by a thousand paper cuts. Each instance might seem small, but over time it creates this sense of disillusionment and people start to disengage.
And what's interesting is that Ola argues HR often doesn't even realize they're undermining themselves by overlooking these basic standards.
It's like they're so focused on the big picture, they miss the small details that make it all work. Ola brings up a really good point in the article about hiring and how without standardized procedures, it can be absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it could be a nightmare for candidates too, right? Going through a whole interview process and not even knowing who you're supposed to meet or getting asked the same questions over and over.
Exactly, or not even finding out the salary range until the very end. Ola makes a great comparison to shopping for a house or even going to a store.
Like, imagine trying to buy a house without knowing the price,
Ugh.
or going to a store and none of the items have price tags.
It'd be ridiculous, right? But that kind of lack of transparency and consistency in hiring creates a terrible experience for everybody.
And it all circles back to Ola's point about the basics. Just being upfront about the salary range in the job posting can make such a difference for candidates. Shows transparency and respect from the get-go.
Such a simple thing, but it can have a huge impact. And once those basic things are taken care of, then you can start looking at more complex things like AI and predictive analytics.
Right, it's like trying to run before you can walk.
Mhm.
Got to nail the fundamentals before moving on to the fancy stuff.
And in HR, those fundamentals really boil down to creating a fair, consistent, and transparent experience for employees at every single stage.
Ola really drives home the point about how those seemingly small issues can add up and affect morale and engagement. It really is like death by a thousand paper cuts, right?
Oh, absolutely. Each one might seem minor on its own, but together they can be a real problem. What I find really interesting is how Ola says that HR often doesn't even realize they're shooting themselves in the foot by not having those basic standards in place.
It's like they're so focused on the finished product that they don't see the cracks in the foundation.
Exactly. Those foundational elements might not be glamorous, but they're absolutely essential for everything to work properly. Without them, HR is stuck putting out fires instead of focusing on the big picture stuff that can really make a difference.
So busy admiring the house they built that they don't realize the plumbing and wiring are a mess.
Which is why it's so important for HR to shift from constantly reacting to problems to actually being proactive and creating a positive and supportive environment for everyone.
So, listeners, think about it for a second. Have you ever felt confused about your role or what's expected of you at work?
Have you ever experienced a disconnect between what HR says and what actually happens?
Have you seen inconsistencies in hiring practices or company policies?
Those could be signs that the foundation isn't as strong as it should be.
Just some food for thought as we continue unpacking Ola's really insightful article. It really is amazing how Ola connects these everyday work frustrations to the bigger picture of employee engagement and how well a company actually does.
Yeah, she really highlights that a happy and engaged workforce, it isn't built on these flashy initiatives or trendy buzzwords. It's built on fairness, transparency, and respect.
And when HR actually gets those basic things right, it's like it opens up so many possibilities, not just for individual employees, but for the entire company too.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Sylvia Ola's article, we want to leave you with something to think about.
What's the one thing HR departments could change that would have the biggest positive impact on employees?
Yeah, put yourself in the employee's shoes. What would make the biggest difference in your day-to-day work life? What would make you feel valued, supported, and like your voice is heard?
It's a question worth thinking about for sure, because as we've seen, those fundamental things are crucial if you want to build a workplace where people can actually thrive.
And hey, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of HR. Don't forget to check out Sylvia Ola's full article. You can find the link in the episode description.
And be sure to subscribe and follow for more deep dives like this one. Until next time, keep digging into those workplace dynamics and questioning those assumptions. There's always something new to learn.